Well, just as I predicted, Terminator Dark Fate bombed with only $29 million to show for its debut. And this debut, Arnold was promoting it heavily on Instagram, other social media perhaps, and there was a lot of negative connotations surrounding this. You had a lot of, pointing of fingers saying that people were, not being fair to it. And basically, this was like a repeat of Ghostbusters. It didn't blow up as much as Ghostbusters because I don't think as many people cared. I think most people have come to accept that Hollywood is now a joke. They're obsessed with rebooting movies. And, so honestly, a lot of the reboots have been successful, such as The Lion King and Aladdin. I didn't go see them. I have no interest in it because I'm not giving my money to something that I don't agree with. But then you have something like Terminator Dark Fate, which heralds itself as a direct sequel to Judgment Day. And they really, after the trailer didn't go over well, I don't know if this was originally intended, but they started to make this more of a direct sequel. They're like, okay, we can't sell this as just a normal sequel or a reboot or anything like that. So we're going to have to try to make this into a sequel. And quite obviously, nobody was buying it. No one was going along with that. With that selling point. It's come to a point now when you take a look at a story like this that people are sick of the constant sequels and the reboots. And I will say this. I like sequels. I, differ from a lot of people and say I actually like the new Star Wars trilogy. I think, that it's enjoyable. I don't agree with a lot of it. So, I understand if you do like this movie, if you legitimately went to go see it and enjoyed it. And there's a few friends of mine that I saw on social media. I made a post about this on Instagram, said that they did legitimately enjoy it. Others said that they disliked it. One of my friends said that he was about to walk out of the film. He managed to sit through the rest of it, but he didn't really enjoy it. And it seems like a lot of people are just not willing to give this film a chance because we already saw through numerous trailers that it wasn't going to be anything special. We had a very unimpressive looking T-1000. You compare this guy to the original T-1000 in Judgment Day, and it really pales in comparison. And it doesn't help that you have, Mackenzie Davis, Natalie Reyes, Gabriel Luna, all these different actors that no one really has any interest in. They're just a bunch of, actors thrown together. I don't even think there was really any care taken with it at all. They just, basically said, okay, we need an all-female cast. We're going to have a male villain. And they just pretty much went from there. So here's your amazing cast right here. And you've got Arnold in here. And of course, this movie had some heavy hitters. Though you had Arnold in there. You had Linda Hamilton. You even had the Deadpool director, Tim Miller. And, you had all these different things. James Cameron came back and was the producer for this film. And still the movie could not get it done. And it cost a hefty $185 million. And you see that even in the farm markets, which a lot of times when you hear movies are successes like Captain Marvel, they're basically bailed out by foreign markets such as China. But we see that nor is the movie likely to be rescued by the foreign box office, where it finished Sunday with an offshore tally of $94.6 million, including a lackluster China launch of $28 million, for a global total of $123.6 million. It first began rolling out overseas last weekend. Pretty sad for a movie that is being heralded as a direct sequel to one of the biggest films, biggest sci-fi films of all time. And you see here, this is 100. It's 29 million based on 4,086 theaters, and it fell well behind expectations. Though it still came in at number one. It was number one, and that's not really much of an accomplishment when you take into consideration how the other contenders. What do you have out now? The Addams Family. You have other films like Motherless Brooklyn and Harriet, just films, like Harriet, they said overperformed right here. But it's like, are you really going to see, most people are not going to see these movies. Most people would be likely to see big blockbuster films. These are the films that sell. These are the movies that are very easy to digest. They don't come off as, you don't have to really rack your brain for movies like this. But sometimes with the plots, you'd be surprised because they're so convoluted that they barely even make any sense and they lose me. That's kind of how it was in Genesis. It was getting to the point in that movie where I just couldn't bear it anymore. I mean, they were, changing timelines, doing this and that. That it was something that shouldn't even require that much of thought. But for some reason, the movie just gave me a headache. And here, basically, more than anything else, this is going to be the film, I think, that definitely kills the Terminator franchise. It will not be back. It's definitely not coming back. I think this is the nail in the coffin of the Terminator films. Even James Cameron couldn't even save it. Even the man directly responsible for the original films, the ones that were actually successful. And I remember when people were actually putting down movies like Terminator Salvation, which I actually liked. 3 was not a bad film. People have a lot to say about it because, that was supposed to be the direct sequel to Judgment Day. But I guess that movie's getting retconned. They're retconning everything. They retcon Genesis. So, when you get to that point where movies don't count, you lose me. If I have to basically, look when I type in Terminator into Google, if I see other Terminator films, if I'm supposed to say to myself, well, these movies don't count, you've really messed up big time. But what they did here is they wanted to, turn a blind eye to what everyone was saying, what they really wanted out of the film. Instead, they wanted to do what the studio wanted to do, what outside sources were going to do, what's trendy, even if it doesn't make a lot of money. Like I said, it was complete Ghostbusters mentality. Forget about, the franchise or what it stands for. Like, does James Cameron even have any respect for his own property as an artist? James Cameron, I mean, this guy, he's a legend. A legend in filmmaking. A legendary filmmaker that deserves all the credit in the world and all the high praise that he receives. But what do you do when a movie like this comes around and it clearly shows that there was no effort being made? The only thing that it shows me is that they're trying to please other people that are not the fans. The fans already told you, in the trailer, they don't want to see an old Linda Hamilton. I don't really care so much. I kind of thought that part was kind of cool. It's funny, in a meme sort of way. We already knew that Arnold was going to get a lot of screen time. And then you top it all off with this all-female cast, and I think most people agree they don't want to see that. They already tried that with the Ocean's 11 garbage. That failed. That movie wasn't even a blip on anyone's radar. Most people, I don't even think, knew that movie came out. I almost didn't. I found that out by watching the Quarterings video. I wouldn't have even known. That movie would have completely flew over my head, went completely under the radar if it wasn't for me finding out through that video. So, they decide, hey, you know what? Let's just make them all female. Let's feminize this movie. Let's do what's popular. Let's do what's trendy. Let's just give in because we don't want to have any more overbearing alpha males. It might offend somebody. This is what they did with Ghostbusters. But there was no reason to do it, and they have to do it in the cringiest way possible. I mean, you even look at like who they picked, and you're looking at them and like, these are not like characters you would see in the Terminator universe. I said it on Instagram when I first read this story. Why didn't they just pick someone like Tom Hardy? Why not pick another tough guy actor to fill the shoes of Arnold Schwarzenegger or Linda Hamilton? Get another like human character in there, or another Terminator character that could. They could definitely pass the torch on. They had the right idea with Salvation. Get new heroes in there. Get new faces. Don't keep repeating the same thing over and over. But instead, they destroyed every good memory. This is what I'm going to say. It's bad enough that they put this movie out in the first place, but you're saying that this movie has a direct connection to Judgment Day. And no one was buying into it. You didn't see anyone say, oh my God, this is a sequel. We all clearly saw that this looked nothing like Judgment Day. And I'm not saying that it needs to look exactly like Judgment Day for it to be considered a sequel to Judgment Day. But you already know James Cameron's film style and how he does business. And we all know that, Tim Miller is a much better director than this. So why are we getting this garbage? This is not a good film. There was nothing in this trailer that seemed exciting. It was really generic, really CGI'd up. And I said it, how come the T-1000 looks rubbery? Why does it look so bad compared to how it looked in Judgment Day? I mean, we're talking about a movie from the early 90s. And we should not have a movie that looks inferior in 2019, about to be 2020. We are less than 2 months away from 2020, and this is what we're getting visually? James Cameron, who changed the world with visual effects. Remember that with Avatar? Well, what happened there? I didn't like Avatar, but I gotta admit it was a splendid look. How do you go from that CGI to this? Unbelievable. Now, I get it, this movie didn't have as big of a budget, but it still had a pretty big budget. How do you justify that budget with this movie still looking this garbage? I don't know. I can't accept it. So all signs were pointing to a complete failure, and sure enough, it is. There's no way this movie could recover. There's no way that it could gain any steam, because once you have a bad opening, that's pretty much it. And you see the foreign markets are not having it either. So, just like at the end with the T-1000 in Judgment Day, I say let this sink, into that molten, pool of heated liquid. Let it melt. Let it just destroy the Terminator franchise. And we'll keep the memories of the good films. But this new, screwed up, SJW'd up, feminized, garbage, kowtowing Terminator, let that one sink into that heated molten bath, okay? Because I've had enough of it, and I'm very happy to see that this movie failed, because that's exactly what it deserved. I'm happy to see that people did not go out to see this movie, that they were consistent with their YouTube comments and their YouTube reactions and their trailer reactions, and they said to this movie, go screw yourself, I'm not watching this garbo. So let me know, guys, what you think down in the comments down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. And guys, I'll see you next time.